Hey guys, it's Nelly. Welcome back to my channel. So I decided to sit down and do another video. This week has been just kind of crazy, work-wise, home-wise, just a little bit crazy. So I haven't really had a chance to upload anything. So, you know, I know the first video we spoke about parents and, how I've gone through my whole motions with everything, but I didn't really get the opportunity to speak more in depth about the feelings and different emotions, that we go through. And I do know that as a parent, we go through a lot. People may not think that we go through a lot, but we go through a lot. Physically, mentally, emotionally, we go through a lot. But before I get into that, let me just say this one thing. And I hope that no one takes this out of context. And I hope, that you don't get angry at what I'm saying. But I've run into this often, and it's always made me feel some type of way. I've run into instances like when Elijah was first diagnosed, and everyone found out about it, people that was experiencing, similar situations with their family member, would say, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. I know exactly how you feel because, I'm going through it with so and so. And as a mother, that makes me feel some type of way. I always feel like it is more beneficial to say, I can relate. Because for me, every scenario is different. Every situation is different. So, in my eyes, no one can understand what it is that I'm going through. No one can know what it is that I'm going through because I'm me. I have my own, different emotions, and I have my own bond with my child, and not to say that someone can't relate to what I'm going through, because obviously if you have a family member, that's going through this type of illness, of course you can relate to what someone else feels like. You can relate to it because you have a family member that's going through it. But you can't necessarily tell someone, I know exactly how you feel, or I know exactly what you're going through, because no. For me, that kind of, and I get that people say different things because they don't really know what else to say. And maybe it's their way of, being empathetic, and just trying to get you to understand that you're not out there alone. But for future, if someone out there runs into someone who has, a similar scenario going on, with a family member, words of advice, don't ever say, I know exactly how you feel, because you don't. You can't possibly imagine what that person is going through. You can relate to an extent, but you don't know, because I see it this way. Being in and out of the hospitals, you see so much, and I've had the pleasure of meeting some wonderful moms on the same floor as Elijah, and they're there with their children, and some of them are infants, some of them are toddlers, and when we converse, I can't ever tell that mom, I know exactly how you feel, because I don't. My son, at the point of diagnosis, was a teenager, and he wasn't a toddler. He wasn't an infant. They don't have the same type of, diagnosis. So I can't possibly imagine what that person is going through or how they feel, with the involvement of their child. So, for me, I guess it's more of a personal, note. Like I said, I'm not saying this to make anyone angry, but I just want you guys to understand, I guess, just my opinion in the matter of telling someone, exactly how they feel. I get it, I understand, but I don't think that should ever be said. In any event, that was just something I needed to get off my chest. So anyway, like, Parents, let's just talk about the various things that we go through as parents. Like, we go through so many different emotions that's involved in everything, and we want to be a big part of everything, and we always want to be there with our children. Doesn't matter what they're going through, whether it's a doctor's appointment, whether it's chemo treatment, whether it's whatever. We want to be there. I know I want to be there. And it doesn't matter how old my child is, I still want to be there. I want to know everything that's going on. I want to know all the outs and ins. That's just who I am. But I do realize that the more I want to be so hands-on, the more that I add more weight to my own shoulders. And I think as a parent, we don't really know where to draw the line, like when everything first happened, I was at the hospital every single day, sleeping over, like, doing what I needed to do. And I don't know if I really acknowledged, like, my time was being taken away from my daughter at the same time. And although she completely understood, I have the best kids ever, she completely understood why I couldn't be home every night. And while she didn't complain not one bit about it, it made me feel sad and bad in the inside. Like, I just wanted to clone myself to be in two different places at one time, And when you're a mother going through this scenario and you have more than one, child, it's difficult. It's difficult, and it could put you in a really bad mental space, when you can't, when you're not able to spend time with all of your children for the same amount of time, it could kind of get to you. When you're spending, countless hours or nights at the hospital, you take away from your own time. And that's just a given because you're a parent. That's what we do. We don't put ourselves first. We put our kids first. At least that's me. Let me just speak for me because I can't speak for, all the parents out there. Obviously, we're all not the same. So I definitely have to speak from my point of view and how I am with my kids. And so, while I was at the hospital with Elijah, Tati was here. So she wasn't able to stay because you have to be a certain age to stay at the hospital. So, that just kind of stressed me out a lot. I've been able to balance a lot of things with going through all of this. I was in the middle of getting my bachelor's degree, being a mother, still working, and just having to juggle life with everything that's going on can be mind-blowing, and it can put a lot of weight on your shoulders, but as a parent, what do you do best? You keep trucking and you hold your head up high and you just go with the punches. However life is going to take you, is going to take you. And we don't blink an eye because nothing can skip a beat. We know at the end of the day that life's not going to stop. It's going to keep going. So we have to keep going. But in turn, we mess ourselves up because then we get so involved with everything. And if you're anything like me, I have to be in everything, especially when it has to do with my kids. I can't, I just can't fall short. That's just not who I am. So if Elijah needs me at a doctor's appointment, I'm at the doctor's appointment. If Tati needs me here, I'm going to be there. If I have, wherever I need to be, I'm going to be. So that whether that means me bringing laptop from, work to go to the hospital, stay over there or whatever, I'm there, But I also realize how much stress I put on myself. And it's not due to anybody. It's just due to myself. I think at some point as parents, we don't realize that we do have to take time for ourselves. So parents out there, if that means you getting away for 10 minutes to go outside and sit back, have some coffee, as tough as it may be, you have to take care of you first. Because if you don't take care of you first, how can you help to take care of your children? You know what I mean? And I know that's easier said than done because we all go through those type of scenarios. But I do realize now that if you don't take care of you, you can't be in the right state of mind to take care of others. So, those nights at the hospital, sleeping on the sofas, if you are in a marriage or in a relationship and you have somebody else there, if you guys can kind of like maneuver the time, let your spouse or your mate spend a couple of hours while you just go out and just pamper yourself for just a second, just to take time for you, even if it's to just go away and just cry because you can't hold it in anymore. It's okay to take care of you. It is okay. And I think for a lot of parents, we think that it's not okay. Like, we think for our children, like, I can't leave my child. Like, my child is going through this, so why do I feel how I feel? Or I shouldn't feel like I need time for myself because my child is going through X, Y, and Z. But it's not true. You have to take care of you. And it takes a lot to realize that, and it took me to get beaten down with life itself for me to really understand that. Like, I've taken a lot of hard hits within the past year and a half, just in general, and it can affect everything you have going on. If you don't take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, like, it can jeopardize a lot. It's caused issues within my marriage, because I was just focusing on the things that I needed to do for him. And I kind of closed myself off to everything else that was going on. And that just wasn't the best thing to do, So I've come to terms with, having more time for me and still doing what I need to do. So, I just wanted to tell you parents out there that I know exactly how it is to not have time for yourself. And I know how important it is to us as parents to be there for our children in their time of need. We feel like they just have way too much on their shoulders and way too much going on. And, we want to pick up their pieces. And I do realize, like, I catered to Elijah in a lot of ways. Like, I was just like, you already got this going on. Like, whatever I can do to help, I'm going to help, whether that's fix you something to eat or, do little things or, do this and do that. I'm going to do it. But then I realized, like, I was doing way too much, because then it got to a point where it was just like, all right, Mom, can you do? And it was just like, whoa, time out. You can do it. Like, you can do it, because then it got to a point where I couldn't relax. There was no relaxation for me. Like, I needed to do what I needed to do, but then it was just like, okay, no, we can't do this, because if I'm not here, you have to do it. So we got to get you in the process of you doing it. And, he got to that point eventually, but it's hard. I know that it's really hard. And it's a lot to process. And I know for a lot of new parents, you're all in, be all. And I get it. But you have to take care of you first. And in the process, you have to take care of you. Whether that means 5-10 minutes, maybe even a half an hour to yourself, you need that time. As much as you think that you don't, you do. Because eventually everything is going to start to build and build and build and build until you eventually break. We're strong. Don't get me wrong, because we are strong individuals. And we could take a lot of weight on our shoulders. But when you have all of this in the mix of life itself, it can definitely put you in places that you don't want to be mentally. So focus on you sometimes. Make it about you. Married, have a date night. Have a family member come to the hospital if that's at all possible. Have them come to the hospital while you and your mate go out and just have a dinner. Just for you. Because there's so much that goes on that you lose yourself. Even if that meant a walk around the corner, around the block, just go sit for a second and just talk to each other without the realization of what's going on now. You know, sometimes we focus on the future and we're not living in the present. And I think when we focus more on the present and what's going on now, you know, we could tend to kind of maneuver things around a little bit, you know, mentally. But anyway, guys, I know this video was long, so I apologize. You know, there's so much more that I have to say and that I want to say, but I am going to end this video off by saying take care of you. You are important. You are important to your child. Your mental health is important. Your physical health is important. And in order to maintain your mentality, your physical health, your emotional health, all of that, you have to take time out for yourself. So parents, at the end of the day, know that you're still worthy to have a moment for you. Until next time, guys, comment below. Ask me anything that you want. Subscribe to the channel. I look forward to listening and hearing to you guys. I'm very active, so I will definitely comment back. But thanks again for joining and watching my channel, guys. You take it easy. Till the next time. Have a blessed one.